365, which we already have. Thanks, whoever hit recording, I forgot.
I did, I gotcha.
You're awesome. So if you have a worksheet, if you have a file stored in your OneDrive, like some questions for a book, you can pull it right from your OneDrive into Schoology. So you don't have to download it and re-upload it or anything like that. And the same for kids. If they have a paper that they typed in OneDrive and you want them to turn it in, if you create an assignment in Schoology, they can literally take it right from OneDrive. And the other thing that's really cool is it's called the OneDrive assignment app.
Cute.
So let's say you're reading a book. Oh my gosh, what's that horrible book that makes me cry every time? Stone Fox. Never read that with your children. I bawl. Okay, so Stone Fox. So you want your kids to continue to read that at home, and you've got a set of questions you've been using for 5 years. If you put that file in your OneDrive using this assignment app, you can assign it to your kids, and it will make a copy of those questions in each individual student's OneDrive folder. So in like 3 clicks, instead of making 35 copies, I've given each of my students their own copy that they can type their questions into and then send it back to me for feedback. So that's getting a little ahead of the game how you do that, but it has great possibilities. I know one thing we've been hearing from parents is we're putting together really cool activities to send home, but they're printing like 100 pages a week. So, yeah, so that gets tough. Kelly is asking about upload size. I don't think so. I've never come across it, but if nothing else, you can also link to it. So if you make a video, you could always put it in YouTube and link Schoology to the YouTube. So it would take them out of Schoology, but if you ran into that problem. All right.
Sarah?
Yes.
Do you happen to know, Lacey Fisher's asking, how is the resource room structured within courses in Schoology?
It's scheduled just like your Power School.
Okay.
So if you have a resource room class and you have 13 kids scheduled into that class, it's going to show as a course and you'll have those 13 kids in it. If you co-teach, we can add you. So Lacey, if you co-teach with, I don't know what building you're at, but, and Lacey, I think you're actually elementary, but like at a middle school, if a special ed teacher co-teaches, we can add you as a teacher in the course. So both the general ed and the special ed teacher can both access Schoology.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I'm at the elementary and I'm not co-teaching. I was just wondering because it's set up by grade level. So it's not like I have different kids in the same grade level in different groups.
Yep. So it's going to pull from Power School. So it is going to give you different Schoology courses for the different classes.
And we can't modify or change those courses so that it would be like my first group is all 3rd grade boys. The next group is also 3rd grade boys, but they're doing completely different content.
No, that would all be separated if they're separate in the grade book.
But they're not. The grade book puts them all in just because of grade level.
You could individually assign different things to them. You do have you can create groups and give them different assignments or different materials in Schoology.
Okay, great.
I haven't done that a lot, but I know you can. We might have to practice it.
Yeah, I'm probably going to need your help then. Thanks.
We're all going to learn together over the next couple of weeks. I think it's going to be okay. Let me swap back to the live side. We're just going to, let's see if it's working. Let's see what it does. All right, great. So this is courses. Most of you, when you click down, you're going to see a lot of these blue tiles. And what I do, I'll show you how to customize them because when you have 6 classes and they all have the same picture, it's a little, it's not very user friendly, especially if you teach 6 hours of Spanish 1 and they all say Spanish 1. So we're going to use this one today. I call it my playground. We're going to use this class. Now, in general, you cannot create your own classes. Because we have it hooked to Power School, what we didn't want is for someone to say, oh, you know, that Power School one, I don't really like the name, so I'm going to make a new one. And now you have kids enrolled in 2 different math classes, and that gets really confusing for the kids. So for classes with students, they're all created through Power School. And we can talk about groups, which might be better to use with your peers. So this is what is, can you guys still see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great.
Yes.
Okay, so this is what a Schoology class can look like when you log in. On the left-hand side, it reminds me of Facebook. On the left-hand side, you have like your administrator options. So it does have a grade book. We're not grading things right now, but does have a grade book, and you can set it up to send your grades right to your PowerSchool grade book. If you want to check who's in the class, see the members, that's all on the left. The right are your notifications. So if you're posting announcements or anything like that, it'll be on the right, but the center is like the meat of your course. This is your assignments and what you want kids to see. So let's go back to the left for 1 minute, and underneath my icon, you can see when I hover over my class icon, I get a edit picture. So it's just like changing your picture on your Facebook or your Twitter profile. You can click on that and you can attach a file. And what I've seen teachers do that's really awesome, I'm not going to choose any of them because I don't want to stress it too much right now. But I've seen teachers go online and find pictures of numbers like 1, 2, 3. And what they do is they use those for the hour of their class. So their first hour has a picture of a 1. That way, if you're teaching 5 hours of science, it's really easy to pick out what's your first hour, what's your second hour for you and for your students. That would help them too. So give your class some kind of an image that will make it easy to pick out for you and the kids. Maybe you want to be a picture of you, and then your kids would know exactly what they're getting into.
So Sarah?
Yes.
So if like for us specials that we have 5 different during the day, we could put a different one for each of those classes and each day of those classes.
Yes.
Because they change on the days for us, right?
Yes, I even saw one gym teacher, and I think he did it in PowerPoint, but it looks like he made custom pictures, and what he did was it was like Miss Valaire's Tuesday gym class. So we could do that. It wouldn't be that hard.
So we would just take that picture and edit that picture, put something else in there, and then the class name next to it or something like that. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got the center section, and I tried to put a few things in here to show you what's available. One thing I really like about Schoology is the option for folders, and everything you do in Schoology can be moved later. So you don't have to stress about this too much to start with, but you want to think about, how am I going to organize this for my kids? You could have folders for each week. Like right now, we're kind of doing week by week learning. So maybe you open week 5 and it has a list of ELA and math activities for the week. You could organize it by subject. Maybe you have a folder for math, a different folder for science, another one for social studies. Maybe you do it by unit. Science rock unit, science space unit. That's totally up to you and whatever makes sense to you. And if you change your mind down the road, it's not that hard to drag items around. So a folder is one thing you can add. You can also add what's called a page, and I just kind of put a sample page here. It's literally something you write on. So when you create a page, you can add content or instructions for your students. You can customize your font. You can make it fun fonts and colors and sizes. You can add images. You can also add attachments. If you have something like a list of vocabulary you want your kids to work on, you can attach that file right to the page. And then I put this page is set to display a line, and I'll show you where these settings are. But I wanted to show you, I really like this display in line feature. If you scroll down this page, and I can tell it's a page by the icon, this one is not set to display in line. So the difference is here, it's in the kids' faces. So it's going to be right there. This is what I want you to see. This one, when you don't display it in line, it requires the student to click to get to the content of the page. I'm thinking of my own 14-year-old daughter. I'm thinking of my experience as a high school teacher. I want it in their face, but totally up to you. And maybe you change it. Maybe this is what I want them to focus on right now, so I put it in line. But later, when we're done with that, maybe I change it. So let me show you a little bit about how to add these. And again, I'm going to cross my fingers and hope it works. Towards the top of your page, whenever you want to add materials for your students, you just click the Add Materials option. and it tells you what you can add. And today we'll focus on just folders and pages, but you can set up little quizzes in here. And I know we're not grading now, but if you wanted to do a formative assessment or a survey with your kids, you could use those tools to do that. You can also do an assignment, and an assignment is set up so that students are meant to submit something. So you're telling them to do this, and they are going to send you something back that you can then give them some feedback on. So let's start with a folder, because that's probably where you'll start your page. Yeah, that's going to happen. Let's see if it'll let us edit this one. Yep. Okay, so when you set up a folder, it's super simple. It asks you to it asks for a title. It will let you choose from about 8 different folder colors. And an important thing it will ask you is, do you want to publish it or not? If any of you are really organized and you like to get ahead, one thing I like is you can set folders so that they don't publish. So you could set up your units for the whole year, but if you don't want your kids to get overwhelmed or you don't want them to work ahead, you just set it to not publish till the date you want it to publish. Or you can do it manually when it's time. But really, when you create a folder, that's all it is. It'll ask you if you want to publish it now or later, what color do you want, and what do you want to call it.
Sarah?
Yeah?
So if for example, I'm teaching Beethoven, the movie Beethoven Lives Upstairs from YouTube, and there's a worksheet that I have with that,
Okay.
can I put that movie into here for them to view and then the questionnaire afterwards?
I don't know that you could put the whole movie, but you could do a link. So we'd take the YouTube link or the YouTube video and we'd add a link. And I'd love to show you that. It's a lot like, elementary teachers have had a lot of practice with this lately. It's a lot like inserting a hyperlink in Word where you just highlight the text and then you paste in the URL you want it to go to. So I really apologize, you guys. We might need to do a follow-up session with this group. So
The last time I did hyperlink when I was doing my doctorate. I haven't done any hyperlinks since.
Jessica, I got you, man. We'll figure it out. I'll help you.
Yeah.
I think it would be useful because it would cut down the amount of visionary time in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
And we could use that time productively in another way.
For sure.
Absolutely. All right, I'm going to revert back to my PowerPoint.
Sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. That's a good question. I'd love to show you.
It's okay.
I'd love to show you.
I'll
Sarah.
find what I want to learn. I'll bother you guys. You'll get sick of me.
No,
Okay.
you're fine.
Sarah,
Yes.
can you post the folder and contents to multiple classes at once so you're not doing it on different pages every
You
time?
can. You can. And is that John Wilson?
Yes.
Okay, if you remind me, email me if I forget. I can send you the directions. It's called linking sections. So yeah, if you're teaching multiple classes, you can set it up so every time I add it to my first hour, it automatically goes to my 3rd, 4th, and 5th hour. Saves a ton of time. Yeah, no problem. Okay, so let me try and show you a few other things. On this example, we have a page here, and I just put some learning goals on it. This is actually from your PD last year. I'm sure you remember it fondly. You can embed a video right here. And so one of the things I like about Schoology is it integrates with other sites. So, instead of the kids leaving all the time, they stay in Schoology. So with most videos, you can embed it right there. I think I showed you guys this. We might jump around a little bit. This sure made sense when I did it like 2 years ago, this PowerPoint. Oh, here we go. Let me show you that folder option we were talking about. So when you add a folder, these are the options you see. Can you guys see that okay, if I'm not full screen?
It's okay.
So again, add material, choose folder, super simple, title, color. You can add some instructions, and you get this very simple text editing bar. One of the things you'll see is, let me see if I can find it. I can't, the little, it's called insert content. So it's this square with an arrow going into it. When you click there, it will ask you, do you want to add an image or a link? So that's where you add all that multimedia stuff. So that's how you create a folder. We talked a little bit about pages. This is what a page looks like as you create it. Again, it's super simple. Maybe it's directions for week 5's math. You can type content on this page. Again, you've got a very simple text editor. You can change colors and backgrounds. You can add links. And then at the bottom, it gives you some more options. And as you hover over them on the live site, it will tell you what the options are. But the first one is to add a file. So that's where if you had a list of vocabulary or just some kind of a handout you want the kids to have access to, they can't edit it. It's just giving them access to it. You would click right there, and it's just like attaching to an email. And then you have some options at the bottom. And again, when you hover over them, it'll tell you what they are. The first couple are about aligning with standards and objectives. We're totally not there yet. We are all in survival mode. We are just trying to get through this transition to online learning. But the last one is that one I mentioned about display in line. This is where you can tell the page, I want it right there for the students. I don't want them to have to click around to find it. So that's where you turn that option off and on. Hopefully this is making a little sense without being able to see the site. Is everyone okay right now? Do you guys have any questions?
Sarah, I got on a little bit late. This is Patricia.
Hi, Patricia.
I saw how you were like changing the pictures and stuff for the courses, and I emailed Amy last night. So as far as the courses, we should just like for elementary teachers maybe put everything under like first grade AM, or should we make a group?
I would pick one of your sections that's already made. I wouldn't make a group.
Okay.
And I just think with the little ones, it'd be easier to just have one place they go. But you guys know your kids best. And it might be different. You're in first grade, right, Patricia?
Yeah.
I mean, your first grade might be different from fifth grade. But I don't think having kindergarten, first of all, the way I see this is if you were using this with a K-1-2 class, I see the parent really logging in to help the kid do this stuff. I don't see our kindergartners independently logging in and reading directions and doing all this. I see it as a way we'd organize for the parents. Hi, Lincoln.
Hey, sorry. He bumped his head.
But Patricia did bring up a really good point about what's called a group. So courses, and let me see if I can find this chart. You have courses and groups, and teachers cannot create courses currently, but you can create groups. The main difference is grading. In a course, you can add those quizzes, you can add multiple choice questions, you can add assignments. In a group, you don't get those options. So the reason I would say stick like with your elementary kids, stick with a course, is you can do things. You're probably not giving them a big test in Schoology, but like a discussion. You can have discussion threads. And that's something your elementary kids might want to do. So there might be some features of a course that if you made a group, they wouldn't be able to access. Groups, I see more as like, some people use them for like extracurriculars. So if you were in Green Team, that would be an easy way for you to communicate with your kids because a lot of times they're not all in your classes. Or I see groups as a place where teachers are going to collaborate. You can easily add resources to a group and copy them to your class. So we could have a district-wide group of second grade teachers, and they're all adding videos and content and activities. And then every second grade teacher could just grab it and then like 3 clicks, send it to their second grade students. So groups would be a great way for us to divide and conquer because I feel like we really need to work together right now. It's just been rough. Yeah.
So if we have the group, say for example, I'm teaching to second grade, the Carnival of the Animals, and I have some coloring sheets that I wanted, because now with this online learning, I can't really send them the pictures, so it's like, could they copy the picture from there and do the work on it then?
Yeah, so we would do it in their course, and what I would do is, let me find my slides on the pages again. When you create the page, I would call it, Carnival of the Animals, and I would just write a sentence in here, hey, I'm giving you some pictures to color to help you imagine what you would see in this music. Good. And then we would use this button, which lets you attach a file.
Which one? This one here to the left?
Yes, when you're in the system, it'll tell you when you hover over it, but the first one is to attach a file, and then it's just like you're sending an email. Okay. So you could attach those sheets for them to do.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Now, with Jessica's example, really, you'd have to print that out, right? I mean, coloring online is just not the same.
No, but I'm thinking they could at home print it out.
Right. Right. But for some of you, though, I'm just thinking for some other categories, one of the things we like about that is they don't have to print. Like it might just be something they need access to, because I know some parents at home are like, wow, that's a lot of printing, which it's just where we're at right now. Like it just is what it is.
Right.
Is everybody else still frozen out of the Schoology?
Yeah, I don't think it's working at all right now.
Yeah.
On their website, it says they're still having trouble.
Okay. I hate demoing something when it doesn't work. I mean, those of you that have been here a while, let's go back to the days of Fox Sprite, right? I remember being a Fox Sprite trainer. I don't know how I ended up here, but that's okay. We're winging it. All right. So I think as a classroom teacher in where we're at right now, probably the things you're going to use most are folders to organize your material and then pages to share content with your kids. I have noticed that we are sending home a lot of YouTube videos, and you can use this button, the insert content button, to put that YouTube video right on the page for them. If we get to the point where we're sending devices home with kids, which I think we're going to, we've already talked about, we will unblock YouTube on those devices because it's a pretty good resource at home.
And then that cleaned it up. Worked well too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did add the link to ViewPeer, which takes out all the ads.
Thank you.
Into the resources. So it's in the top of the resources now when you click on the Wakelet.
If you have not.
All right, I have a question.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
I'm just in my office talking to myself.
No, you're good. Mary Beth had a question I wanted to bring up because I think it's valuable. They're actually all questions are valuable, but this one is something I don't think we touched on yet. She says, if you're teaching partner and you decide to divide up the subjects, which is a great way to approach things, can you set up so that one person can post, say, all the math lessons and another person can post all the ELA lessons? So I guess my question to follow up with hers is are we allowing teachers to add each other as additional administrators of each?
Yes, you can add people to your course. So let me find, and I've been doing this for some people, but you can do it yourself. You can control your own class and membership. Let's see if I can find it. On the left side of the page, there's an option called Members. And when you click it, you can basically search the directory to find someone and add them to your class. And then when you see all the members, there's an option to make people an administrator or not. So we could easily add each other. And that's a really good idea. I know some of the schools, 4th and 5th grade do that, where like one person teaches math for the whole grade and one person focuses on reading for the whole grade. So yeah, we can do that super easily, Mary Beth. And when the site is up and working, I can walk you through better.
Sarah,
Yeah.
when I added the members to my classes, I was able to add the Dakota, but I was able to access them after, if that makes sense.
No, I'm not sure what you mean. So you added them, but then they didn't stick? They didn't stay?
Well, there was a way when I added them that I could choose Chippewa or Dakota students, but after I added them, I couldn't get back to Dakota.
You couldn't get back to Dakota to add more Dakota students?
No, to see them.
Okay. It might be, was that like from last night to today? Why
Yeah.
are you adding them? Because they should be added through Power School. It might be getting written over with the sync every night.
Well, basically when I grouped them to have them in the group and I added them all in the group, I could see the Chippewa students, but I couldn't get to my Dakota students.
Okay, so you created a group.
Yep.
Okay, I guess I'd have to look for it. If you want to try this member thing and add me as an administrator, I can go in and try and troubleshoot it.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. Okay.
Yeah. And if you can't figure out how to add me, I can actually add myself to all your classes, but I've been trying to avoid being a teacher in everybody's class.
Now, can I delete a class or delete a section?
You can't delete the Power School sections, but if it's a group you created, you can delete it.
Right. I figured that out. Can somebody delete 2 of my sections?
They will get archived at the end of the term from Power School, but until then, no, they would just reappear every day when it syncs.
There's nobody in them.
Okay, well, if you want to send them to me, I'll look at them, Kelly. I'm not sure what's going on.
Okay.
But if you send me what the names are, we'll figure it out from there.
All right, that's fine.
Let's see here. We're jumping around a lot. Any other questions out there right now?
One of the good questions from the conversation on the side that has come up a couple times is how the students know that you posted something. So if we want to talk a little bit about notifications,
Yes.
I think that would be good.
Okay. So
As well as parents. Our parents.
Oh, good question.
Parents.
Okay, so there's good and bad about notifications. From my teacher perspective, I'm really happy you can turn them off. So when you log in, your name is at the top right, and there'll be an option under there to control your own notifications. So last fall, when we had 900 teachers doing online PD in Schoology, and I was getting a notification every time somebody posted something, I went and turned those all off. So you can turn them off. Otherwise, you're going to get an email every time a kid turns in an assignment or every time a kid sends you a message. The bad part is students can turn them off. So by default, our secondary students should get an email if you send them a message. They can turn it off, but most of them haven't really explored enough to find that. So I think right now for like 95% of the kids, they're turned on. Elementary, remember, doesn't have email. So really, elementary would have to log in to see what you've posted. And you do have, they call it an update, I think. I think of it as like an announcement. And that is that right-hand column of the page. So if you just want to bring their attention to it, you could put in an update that says, hey, check out this that I just added. And when they logged in, the first page they see is the recent activity, and those posts will be right there. And then they'll also be on the right when they go into their courses. What other questions? I'm saying a lot. This is a ton of information for you guys. So if you are overwhelmed, let me know. Plus, I'm jumping around on this PowerPoint, trying to think of what I should share with you first.
So Sarah, can we do this PowerPoint more than once?
Yeah.
Well,
We'll send it to you.
absolutely. But we'll have to give people an option to run if they want to.
Thanks.
Okay. Can students post videos for you to see? Yeah, you could. When you have when you create an assignment, Stephanie, they can basically attach any type of file to it. So you could set that up for them to turn in a video, basically. And Schoology does have an app, so I know sometimes at the schools you guys have kids take videos on their phones. They could download the app and log in and then just directly upload the video right from their phone into Schoology. So that'd actually be a lot easier than what we're doing in a lot of cases now.
Now you could just create a folder and put all your lessons in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Do you just drag and drop them, or do you have to actually like add them?
You have to add them.
Okay.
You have to add them. You can add them as attachments, or you can do it as a page, an attachment to a page. I think what I'm forgetting here. Okay, so grade book, we're not worried about grading right now, but if you get into this and you decide you love Schoology for next year or later this year, whatever we end up, this does talk to the Power School grade book. So you can, in like 5 minutes, set it up so any grades that you put in the Schoology grade book can get moved right over to Power School. So that saves you some steps. That I do like that one. What else am I forgetting? Oh, parent access, Amy had mentioned. So when you go to members, on the right-hand side, there'll be information on how to let parents access Schoology. And there are two different ways. There's a code that they can join with. But then there's also, we want to give them, there's like a parent-specific code. If you think about how like they sign up for the portal, you get a code that links you to your specific child. So that happens in Schoology. We can give parents a code that links them to their child. And what that means is, it's like lots of kids post things in Schoology. So Kelly teaches graphic arts. Maybe she has all her kids posting their projects to comment. But if you want to be FERPA compliant as a parent, I should not see other kids' work. So when I create an account and use the specific code you give me, I can see what the teacher posts and what my student posts. but I can't see other kids, which means I can't go talk bad about Johnny in the neighborhood. So that is the way we should do it. And if you're an elementary teacher, you can take those codes and we can set up a mail merge, and it's not a big deal. It's a lot easier if you have the kids there. You hand each kid the sheet for their parent, and you can make it happen. Our kids aren't here right now, and if you're a middle school or a high school teacher, you've got like 160 kids. It could be a little harder to manage right now, so that might not be feasible at the moment. But the future, it's a nice option.
Now, how would they hand in their assignments?
So when you create an assignment, it gives them a place to upload it, to basically attach the file.
And that could be in like one folder for everybody in the class?
Yes, it would. It would put them all into one folder for you, and then you can go through and you can mark them up and give them feedback, and you can assign a grade if you want to.
Okay.
All right, Stacy's got a question. I love she used parking lot. She's such a teacher. I'm trying to read it though. Okay, so Stacy, Amy posted, look, our website should work. Are you okay with that I'm just kind of taking over, Amy?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me get to the Chippewa Valley's website. So Amy's been putting a lot of material together for students and parents, and you are welcome to share it with your students and parents. But on our student links page, which is new this year, here is the Schoology login, and then underneath there's a PDF that has some directions, and it walks them through submitting an assignment. I don't know if
I sent them that PDF. You know I did.
Of course you did.
I should have known. Sorry, Stacy, but they did. Do you think they read it and couldn't do it, or do you think?
I don't know. It looks like it all got, because I uploaded a OneDrive page to my assignment so they could open it and write and then send it back to me.
So you use that assignment app?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I put the document in there, and only one kid figured out she had to save it in OneDrive and then go back to Schoology to post it.
See,
she said.
I think it makes a copy for them. They might just not know where to find it. Do you want to add me to your class, and I'll do a really poor job on the assignment, but see if I can troubleshoot it and make some steps for them?
In the next, future, when I can get back into Schoology, sure.
Yeah, and then when I can get in, I'll
you tell me what you know about stratospheric ozone.
Ooh,
okay, so when you get a blank paper, it's purposeful. Nice. But no, I can, if you add me and remind me, I'll log in and I'll go through it, because I thought they got a copy in their OneDrive, but they might not realize how to get to it.
Okay.
It's kind of hard. We're all learning this together, and you don't have them in front of you to.
Yeah, I can't explain anything.
Right, and some of them are checking their email, and some of them aren't. It's all good.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Someone has mentioned discussion. So when we talked about adding things to your course, a discussion is one, and it is exactly what it sounds like. You can pose a question. It might be as simple as, hey, I'm just wondering how you guys are doing with this whole pandemic, and let them respond, and they can add images and things. There are some settings for discussions. Personally, high school background, I found usually if I had a good talk with my kids, they were pretty good, but you can moderate it. If you want to approve a comment, have to approve comments before everybody can see it, you do have that option. It's more work for you. The other thing to keep in mind is, because Schoology is linked to PowerSchool, no one can use stupid names. So I know my daughter's math teacher was doing a Zoom, and we got an email like right afterwards that said, if kids continue to log in with inappropriate names, we're not doing this. I was like, oh. We can control this a little bit more. So kids, if they post something stupid, it's always going to be under their real name. So hopefully they won't do that. But under add materials, add discussion is right there, and it just is exactly what it sounds like. Post some questions and let them respond. All right, will the district be sending something with directions and login information to each student? We don't know yet. I know it can be done. I know Utica did it. I know that's a service that we've only paid for at the high school currently because we send high school report cards that way. So I think we would have to look at funding. It might be easier to, instead of sending them, to send them generic directions that don't have their kids' exact login and password. But I know especially at lower L, some of the kids don't know their password because we use those generics down there. So I'm not sure yet, Patricia. I think that's going to be a money thing.
We did talk about yesterday how to get your students' IDs from a report in Power School. And then in Excel, you can start using the convention we use for the passwords, which we can start sharing a little bit more freely. And then you would be able to figure out all of their usernames and passwords and provide that information. We were working on typing something up, but Sarah can show you.
Oh, you Lord.
Yeah, don't look at this too close. Okay, don't watch for a minute. Don't watch for. Okay. So and I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with this or not, but in your grade book, you do have a report that lets you, it's your student roster report, and you could just export it to Excel instead of a PDF. There is a file option choice, and you can choose additional information. So you can run a student report that has their last name, first name, I have their grade level in this one, and their student number.
Right.
All right, now some of you probably already know the convention, and Amy, I don't know if we're actually supposed to tell people this. So
I don't think we are, but
yeah, you didn't hear it from us. It's desperate times. Student passwords are the last 2 digits of their student number, and this is at elementary and middle school. High school, they have the ability to change them, but I found remarkably a lot of them don't. I can pick random high school students and log in as them all the time. Okay, last 2 digits of their student number, last letter of their first name, it's the last 2 letters of their last name. Okay, so that's how we figure out their student number or their password. So if you are trying to get a list of your kids' passwords, so you have them easily accessible to send out to parents, Excel has gotten so smart, it just kind of reads what you do. So all you need to do is in an empty column, I'm going to start just typing a few in manually. So my first student, and this is probably not FERPA compliant at all, so you guys just don't tell anyone I'm doing this right now. You don't see all these names and student numbers. Okay, so 14, and then I think Nora is the first name, so last letter is R, and then AD. My next student is going to be 96NEN. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can see super well, but see this grayed out? It kind of tries to fill the column for you. Excel will try to read your pattern. So sometimes it takes me 3 or 4 before it gets the right pattern, but I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, I'm going to spot check a few. Yes, it knows what I'm doing. It read it. So now I just hit enter and it fills those all in for me. So now in like less than a minute, I have a list of all my student IDs and passwords, and that is actually like all of Dakota High School. So it did it that fast.
Unless they changed them.
Right. So high school, you'd have to remember, but for elementary, so at high school, honestly, we have to be able to tell the kids, you change your password, you don't know it. They have to start to know that. But for elementary and middle school, right now, we still control them. Next year, we're planning on middle schoolers changing theirs, but.
They could get to their drive?
Pardon me?
They can get to their drive at home?
Their H drive?
Yeah.
If they use a virtual desktop, they can get to their H drive at home.
Nice.
Yeah, that's available for kids and parents and staff. And actually, I think the library is closed now, but if you go to the Clinton Macomb Library, they actually have it already installed for the kids. They can just open the virtual desktop and log on to their Chippewa Valley Drive.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. I'm going to delete that sheet so I don't mess up my master file. So I'm afraid without the live view, it's not as good, but what else can I help you guys with? I think, again, I kind of mentioned adding folders in attachments is going to be where you're going to start. I think if you're going to use Schoology, it becomes a central place for you to give them instructions and content. There is, oh, I wish I could show it. There's something called conference. You can set up a conference with your course in Schoology. Cross your fingers, everybody. That happened really fast.
Oh.
Oh, Kelly got in, so no, I can't get in. Thanks, you took my spot. I'm just kidding.
No, it went right back out.
Okay, mine loaded. So off to the left in your courses, you should see something called conferences that we just added. And I don't know if it'll load right now. I know a lot of you are using Zoom, and that's fine. When this is working better, basically it's a live class meeting. It will not show all your student faces. So I know right now a lot of you are using Zoom because you want it to be a little bit more two-way. But let's say you wanted all your kids to remote on to do like a quick review. It lets you share a whiteboard, it lets you share your screen, and it lets you record it. So when you record it, it's housed right in Schoology. So it saves you some steps from uploading it someplace else and then linking to it. It'll be right here. So kids who couldn't make the live meeting can go right to Schoology and right there watch your recording. So it's really pretty simple.
Is there a way to easily add in the Flipgrid as well?
You would probably want to just take a link from Flipgrid and just post it. There's not like a way to integrate it into there as of right now, but if you just took the link that you were going to send out and put it in your put it in your assignments, you could do it that way, and then they could just click.
If they're like logged in with their Office 365, they shouldn't need to like log in separate to Schoology and Flipgrid and all that. Maybe Flipgrid.
Flipgrid, well, but for me, Flipgrid, when I log in the first time, usually after that, it kind of remembers who I am. So it probably will. It probably will remember them.
Yeah, I would like to show you guys how to make a link real quick if it'll let me, just because I think you'll use that. Oh, look at that. Okay, so I mentioned earlier, making a link it's almost exactly like what you do in Word or PowerPoint. So I'm going to type what I want people to see. And I'm going to need a link. So I'm just going to grab this tab. I'm going to copy. I'm going to use a Control-C to copy that URL. Anytime you want to change text, you start by highlighting it. And then right here, there's a link button. So I can click right there, and I can just use Control-V to paste. And then it'll automatically format that as a link. So if you want to take them to a Flipgrid page, if you want to take them to a YouTube video, there is a way to embed a YouTube video right on the page. If people want to know that later, I can show you that. But being able to link to sites is super important. And then we also talked about this insert content button that I couldn't show you. So you can go here, it gives you link again, but you can also add pictures here. And if you're a math teacher, if you need an equation editor, you've got some options there. Yay. It seems to have come back a little bit.
Yay.
And this is that display in line that I mentioned earlier. If I turn it off and then save it. So this was the page. You can kind of see it behind there. This is how long we wash our hands. Okay. Well, when that loads, oh, there we go. So see, what it did was it basically closed it. So if you want it to be right in the kid's face, you want to click that button to display it in line. And then you can always close it later and change it if you need to clean up your page.
Can you upload a whole folder?
Like a whole folder of files?
Yes.
I don't think so. I think you have to do it one at a time.
Okay. Oh my God. Oh boy.
Once you have them in a course, you'll be able to move them to other courses easily. But to upload the first time, I don't think you can do a whole folder.
I don't think so either.
Because it's not really made to just store files. Like, if you're thinking you would just have a folder and when you click here, it's just filled with files, really they would be pages. You would create pages and then link the files to them. If those files are stored online, Kelly, you can share them with a link. So you could basically get the share link and put that on the page, and so they'd know where to go to get the files, but you wouldn't have to necessarily individually upload each file. I know you're using that G thing. And I think they have links to folders you can create.
I think I'll just put the 2 links that for, where they could get the Adobe websites and or the Adobe programs, and then get to my Google Drive and just take it from there.
Yeah. So go ahead, Amy, sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, Lindsay asked if we can show them how to upload things to numerous classes.
Okay. So someone also asked about a folder and publishing. So I had already started that. Let me start with that. So here's your folder page we talked about. Pick a color, give it a title. Here is where you can choose if you want it published or unpublished. So I can just leave it unpublished until I'm ready for it. You can also set a date range. If you're so on top of it, you know exactly when you want to start and end those resources. You can set that all right here. Okay. This, I think, I was playing with this yesterday. I think it's just like the date you want it to be active for them, or you would expect them to be in there. I usually just leave it blank. So if you just publish or unpublish, and if you have a folder unpublished, you can see it shows kind of grayed out, and it tells me right underneath that's unpublished. So that gives you a heads up. So if you want to leave it unpublished till you're ready for it, just leave it like this, and then use this cog I can edit, or I can just go right to publish. And then someone was asking about individually assigning work. I can create folders. I can individually assign right here. So that's where you could do some of your differentiation of learning. Create one folder for this group, create a whole separate folder with the different assignments for a different group. Student completion, it's not complicated, but what you can basically do is you can set this so they cannot go to step 2 until they finish step 1. So basically, if I set student completion, they have to do the activities in this folder before they can get to the next folder. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can force them to actually go step by step if you need to. Okay, and then the linking classes, there's a couple different things you can do. One is you can copy things super easily. So I can take this folder, and if I'm teaching multiple classes and I want to send it to other hours, I can use the cog and go to copy to courses, and I can really easily just find my other classes and send them over.
Oh.
It's easy that way. There is a way to do it automatically where I say every time I add something to my first hour, I want it to go to these other classes. And I haven't done that in a while. Kelly, I did send you those directions this morning. I can send them to whoever else needed them. But there is a way in Blackboard, they called it a master class. There is a way to set that up. And actually, I can probably find it right now and throw it in the chat box.
Yeah, and I put it in the chat box a little bit earlier, but we can do it again.
Nope, I didn't even see it. So thank you for doing that.
I can even, yeah, it's up there though. I'll put it in there again.
Right. So I think, I mean, there's definitely, it does more, but in terms of we're all just kind of getting started. What else can I answer for you guys to help you?
Sarah?
Yeah?
I saw a handful of people were asking if now that we're in Schoology, can you show them how to link a OneDrive document so that students can go in and answer questions right within that document?
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to go to add materials, and I would use an assignment. And there's 2 different ways to link things for assignments. So if I just want to give them something to read, here are the directions. I don't want you to edit it. I use this, adding a file. Okay. When I use this Microsoft OneDrive assignment, that's when it creates an individual copy for everybody. And of course, it's not going to pull it right now, but it'll just link you right to your OneDrive. It might prompt you to log in again if it doesn't remember you, but then you can pick the file from your OneDrive and it passes it out to them electronically in their OneDrive. And then they can do their work and submit it like a regular assignment.
And they can edit that file directly in Schoology. They don't have to open it.
I
in
believe
Microsoft
so.
Word. Yeah.
I believe so. One other thing, let me show you guys, that's really nice. Under course options, we talked about changing the profile picture here, but there's also an option to view course as. So if you're like just getting started and you're not super confident you've set something up right, I can go to course options, view course as. It gives me my school list. So I can say I want to be the sample student, and I can see exactly what my students see. So if I'm like, ooh, I think I published that, but I'm not sure, you can use that. You can scroll down to see. Great. All right, that's right. That they should see that. And then when I'm done, there's a back to course because I can't change anything in here. So I can go back to course and I'll be the teacher again. But that's a nice option. Okay, so someone's asking about the list of resources. So we have a couple things. We do have that Wakelet, and I think Amy has put it in. And the Wakelet, if you haven't seen a Wakelet, it's just a list. It's a list of URLs basically. So Amy and Jessica organized everything by topic and put all our resources in one spot. So you can bookmark that and just go back to it continuously. We also offer these as a Schoology course, and I still have things to add to this, but I'm going to go to courses, and I'm going to cross my fingers again. This is a course you can join with a code. I can show you the code, and it's also in some stuff Amy sent out. But I try to just gather all these different online tools. It's really the same thing that's in the Wakelet. It's just a different format. So under Schoology, if I click here, I've got some subfolders. See how organized? And then when you click on them, it'll take you to, there's some videos as well as written links to get you some help. So if you know, okay, I need to embed a video, I want to learn how to embed a YouTube video, I can click here and see I have these embedded right on the page, and it'll show you how to do that using some code so the students don't have to leave Schoology and come back to see the video. So this is all just directions to help you, and you can join the code. I'll put it in the chat box. You can join the course, I should say. Teachers can join courses like this. It's just students can't because of the PowerSchool connection. But if you want to join a course, you go to courses and my courses, and then join a course, and you'll get a window to put that code in. So we're trying to give you lots of resources in lots of different places, whatever you're most comfortable with. Go from there. Wow, I haven't lost it yet. I did babble for like an hour.
No, oh yeah, it's almost noon already.
I'm still a high school teacher at heart.
So they're going to be coming out with more of this, right?
Yes.
Where we can have more like training.
Mm-hmm. We're kind of talking this morning. Next week is a spring break. And my cruise is canceled, so I'm willing to do more training over spring break, but you guys are all technically off. But we'll probably schedule a couple because people people who are anxious to get started, it might be a good time for them. So we'll probably schedule a week at a time and send them out. But yeah, we'd love to help you guys.
Okay.
There are some more through the MISD as well. I know, though, I looked this morning, the one next week for the ISD, they made it K5 and then 612. The K5 is on a waiting list already, but the 612 one was still open to registration. So the ISD does have some more Schoology next week and I think the week after. So we'll put together another calendar like we did last week. That'll kind of anything we can find that people are offering so that you'll have it all in one spot.
Amy, is that also distance learning?
Yeah, they're all webinars. So anything on the calendar are all distance. Nobody obviously is getting together right now. So they'll all be very similar.
They added a Friday one too.
Oh, did they?
Okay.
Perfect. Yeah, I think it's on. Yeah.
And the ISD has really good resources, but Amy, Jessica, and I are really good resources too. I think. If nothing else, there's things specific to our system, like settings we have set up. The ISD might not be sure.
Better.
Yeah.
Thanks. You got my hint that I need a little.
Yeah.
All right.
You guys are much better.
Well, I think we are the top of the hour. I appreciate you guys all joining today. Amy and Jessica and I are answering email questions as fast as we can. It's definitely a busy time for us, but if you have questions, feel free to get a hold of us and we'll get back to you as fast as we can. And we will be offering some more webinars. And Cheryl, I saw your question about your login. When I'm done here, I'll check your login. I didn't want to do that in front of everybody.
On the Schoology end, are they working on their site? Yeah, they're working on it. Schoology, I think, I saw an article like through Facebook about how there are just so many people using Schoology that have never, that it just kind of was more than they were expecting. So I know they're working on it. I'm sure they'll get it figured out. It's just they weren't expecting so many people to log in at the same time.
Yeah, Utica's been having issues. They've been using it instead of like those templates that we've been doing for enrichment, and they've been having issues the last few days.
Yeah, I think it might take them a little bit to get it all figured out, but it sounds like they're on it and they'll get it taken care of. So we'll just.
Sarah, you're still sharing your screen.
Yeah, okay, yeah, sorry, I do. Thanks, Jessica. Okay, so you all just saw, I just got a pop-up that I have another meeting at noon, so I'm gonna go. And I'm sure Amy and Jessica can jump in if you guys need anything, but take care. Thanks for joining today.
Bye, Sarah, thanks. Yeah,
Thanks a lot.
and I can stay if anyone has, I don't know about Jessica, but I can stay on if anyone has any specific questions, if you want me to, or we can end it and go from there.
I don't know if we can kick her off. She's still sharing her screen.
Oh, yeah, see, she's meeting with John. Let's see. I can.
Why don't you request control, Amy?
Okay, I requested control. We'll see if that'll help, because no, I can't boot her. Perfect. All right, I think she's off at least. Yeah, the thought is for next week, optional things that maybe you might want to join. I'm thinking of starting to get more specific, so maybe a whole hour on creating assignments and how students submit an assignment, or a whole hour on the conferencing app and how you use it inside of Schoology. So we're still working on that.
A whole hour on teachers collaborating in lessons.
That would be really good.
Yeah, so we're going to just try to figure out a schedule for that. And then, of course, the week after we get back, depending on what happens in the next few days, since the students will already have activities for that week, it'll give us some flexibility to offer more. So we're working on it. We're figuring it out.
We'll still have one extra week after spring break before anything would become more involved.
Yeah, and we still don't have any direction on exactly what that's going to look like. So, we'll figure it out. But yeah, we'll I'm going to start trying to work out a calendar on different things that we can do next week, and we'll go from there.
So, Amy, are you saying like the week after Easter break, we'd probably just stick with what we're using now?
I think that is what they were thinking is for that week we would do the same format. They would get information the same way, and then if the district did decide, hey, everyone's going Schoology, then that would give teachers that week as well to start figuring out what that looks like for them. So, but that's not, like I said, until everything's official. That's just, I think, what they were thinking is then you'd have a whole week, because you'd already have those activities done. You'd have a whole week to figure out where to go from there. So
great, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thanks, Amy, for everything, huh?
No problem. Well,
Amy, last night I was able to like Google some of this stuff too.
Yeah, there is a lot of information out there. The actual Schoology website is actually really well done. They have a lot of help videos and basics on there too. Some of it is how I just created my documents. I just took it off their website. So there are a lot of things out there if you're wanting specific details. I did, in our resources, I made a video that walks you through the conferencing app and a PDF. So they're in the Wakelet as well. If I know a lot of people were starting to try to get into that. So that's in our resources if you want to look at that too.
Okay, thanks.
So, yeah.
Thank you.
Of course, yeah.
Thanks, Amy.
Does anyone have any questions?
Good, Amy.
Yay, good. I'm glad.
Amy, did you see my question about journeys?
Yeah, Karen did go through that in the Q&A yesterday after the Schoology, and she also worked out a paper or a Word document of how to do it. I'm just gonna kind of make sure that turn it into a PDF, and then we can start distributing that. But yeah, she showed everybody, and she did a step-by-step on how to take the Journeys resources and put them in there. So I'll work on that today, hopefully, and then get it out so you can figure out how to do that too.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. I liked your Bitmoji.
Oh, thanks. I changed it while I was sitting here.
Love it. All right. Well, if no one else has any questions, we can.
Amy, can you send the link one more time for the Wakelet on the chat?
Yep. Yeah, let me find the link. And if you haven't been to, hold on. If you haven't been to the Wakelet yet, like Sarah said, it's just, Wakelet is a place where you can add PDFs and links, and it's just a really good way to organize things. So that's why we've been kind of doing it that way, because now everything is housed in one place. Like yesterday, we talked about using ViewPure to get ads out of YouTube. So I added that to the Wakelet. And then somebody else was having trouble. They wanted to post a PDF in their activities, but it was 158 pages and they only needed 2 pages. And separating a PDF is hard, but there's a website called PDF Candy where you can separate them, you can condense them, you can do all kinds of cool things. So I put that in the Wakelet too.
And after we're not in this session anymore, that Wakelet has been emailed out as well. So if you
pretty much every email that has gone out from me or Sarah has had the Wakelet link to it, just so that we keep throwing it out there for people. So
could you put that on the staff links maybe?
Ooh, I could link it in the staff. I'll have to get permission to do that before I do it, but yes, that's a good idea actually. I'm gonna see if that would be awesome. Good idea.
I don't have many.
Well, I'm glad you used one of them on that.
Yeah, I used my one for the year.
Oh, well, I appreciate you using it to help us, because that really is a great idea.
No problem. Well, you're helping us, so thank you.
You're welcome. Does anyone have any general questions? I mean, I'm in my basement. I can hang out for a few if anyone has any general questions about technology.
Well, just the notification part. I know my kids are in Utica now, and they get notifications. Just do you recommend? Do you have to send a notification if you send an assignment, or I'm using Remind too?
You don't. Well, let me rephrase that. It automatically does, but you could tell your students that they can turn those off. So when they click on their name when they're signed in, it gives them that same ability. It'll say notifications under settings, and then they can decide what they want notifications for. So they can kind of turn it off. Most of the time when you send a message, it'll send them the email. But other than that, they could turn off, if you post to the course, you could turn that off.
Okay.
And they can even, in that notifications, they can click and have notifications sent to their phone. So it'll send them a text message that says, hey, your teacher has posted a new assignment. So it's kind of up to them, though, what they want to do.
Okay, sounds good.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well.
All right. Well, if nobody has any other questions, I think I'm going to go. I think my husband's making the kids some peanut butter and jelly, and then I will go and help out.
Stay safe. Have a great week. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye. Thanks, everybody.
Amy,
yeah.
When's the next 365, Office 365?
We have not scheduled another one of those, but we could probably do another Office 365 next week sometime. That could be optional.
I would be interested in that if you do that, because I missed the other one.
Perfect. Or I think we've recorded that one. I'll have to look, and then maybe I could send you the recording so you could go through it too.
That would work too. Thank you.
Yep. We will come up with a calendar as soon as we can.
I appreciate your patience.
Oh, I'll work with you any day.
Thank you.
Yep.
I won't disappoint you. It may take me longer, but I'll get there.
I believe in you. Don't worry.
You know the story of the tortoise and the hare?
Yep.
Right. Slow and steady wins the race, right?
Yes, it does. And we know that you're keeping on working, so we'll work with you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Have a blessed afternoon.
You too. Bye, everybody.
Take care,
Bye-bye.
Amy.